Peace, love, and good vibes, everybody. Welcome back. I want to hop right into this because this is really, really huge. We all are familiar with the so-called helicopter glyphs, and many of us have speculated that this proves that the ancients may have been way more advanced than we think, and that it is also more proof that there's nothing new under the sun, and whatever we doing has already been done. But anyway, what's going on is that Joe Rogan recently did a podcast addressing these glyphs. Let's go ahead and play that clip right now.
I know. That's what I wanted to go see. But the cool thing was the first temple I went in was what I'd seen on Ancient Aliens, where at the very top of the temple, you have one of the most famous hieroglyphs, which has a spaceship, a helicopter, and a submarine up there. As clear as you can possibly imagine. And
Show that.
What the is that? How in the, what is that? Explain that, please. Because that looks like a spaceship, that looks like a submarine, and that 100% looks like a helicopter.
So weird. Egypt is the weirdest place on earth. It really is. Because
but that's why it needs to be,
yeah.
What the hell's underneath it?
Well, I think that one.
That one right there?
Yeah. I mean,
what are we talking about?
Come on. That's so crazy.
That's a spaceship or a fighter jet.
Some kind of a...
That's a submarine.
It looks like a yacht. It looks like one of them oligarch yachts that they keep getting impounded.
That's a helicopter.
It looks like a helicopter to me. It looks just like a helicopter.
Yeah, that was the first
if it's not a helicopter, what a goddamn coincidence.
Yeah.
So when Joe Rogan made this video, this woman right here, she have a channel called Dig It with Raven, and she's a real archaeologist. This is very big. We never had an archaeologist address these so-called helicopter glyphs, and this is trending, number 42. Yesterday, it was actually number 13, so it bumped down a bit. But this is the biggest video on her channel. And she addressed these helicopter glyphs. And I'm going to let you see what she said in response to Joe Rogan.
But let's get back to the Temple of Seti I, which is also known today as the Great Temple of Abydos. Construction on the temple was started in the 13th century BCE by Seti I, but it wasn't completed by the time he died. So it was finished and also renovated by his son, Ramses II. We have evidence that Ramses II changed its original design and placed new inscriptions within the temple. Which brings me to the oh-so-famous hieroglyphs at hand. Let's look at them a little bit more closely, shall we? From top to bottom, it's been noted that this looks like a helicopter. This could be a submarine or a tank or sometimes a yacht. This one supposedly is a spaceship or also a submarine, depending on which interpretation you look at. And the one at the bottom is a glider. Needless to say, people have looked at this collection of symbols and concocted theories of alien contact or advanced technology that is now lost to time, or my favorite is being covered up by modern archaeologists, because we certainly get paid enough to cover things up.
Now, here's the thing. Teachers don't get paid a lot, but they still teach us that Columbus discovered America, which is a lie. So it ain't that you gotta get paid top-notch dollars to be helping perpetuate the indoctrination and keep the veil over the masses. I think a lot of people like her, they just believe that the institutions of education have all the answers for everything, and that's where they go wrong.
And sure, you know, when I was a kid and this sort of stuff would come up on the History Channel, I ate it up. Mostly because it was one of the only sources of ancient Egyptian history content that I had at the time, but also because, yeah, it's pretty fantastical. But when you actually start studying this sort of stuff, you quickly move on from the fantastical to the much more reasonable conclusions that are based on fact. So I'm sorry to say to everyone watching that, no, these hieroglyphs are not evidence of advanced ancient technology or aliens.
I do think that it is evidence of advanced ancient technology, and she's going to have to give me some very convincing. So far, she has shown no proof. She showed no evidence. She's just talking. I'm still waiting on her grand presentation of this big fact that's going to change my mind, because in my opinion, Occam's razor is that, hey, what we're seeing is exactly what it is, and there's nothing new under the sun, and that there is a conspiracy to hide the fact that the ancients were way more advanced than what we think they were. These are facts. So she need to come with it right now. Let's see what she come with.
They are, in fact, an early case of whiteout, otherwise known as a palimpsest when it's referring to a similar act in a manuscript where the text has been scraped or washed off in preparation for new text to be written over top.
I'm not buying that. Already, I'm just not buying that. That's just BS. If you look at the examples she's showing of palimpsest right here, it just looked like a bunch of chicken scratch. And it definitely looked like someone was writing some sort of scripts beneath this and someone just wrote on top of it. But this is totally different than the helicopter glyph, which is obvious, specific technological shapes that we see every day. A helicopter, a submarine, and even an airship. This is specific technology. It's like saying one of you guys wrote a paragraph on some paper, and then I came on top of that and wrote a paragraph on top of yours, and we got shapes that look exactly like devices we see every day. What's the chances of that? Because the example she's showing is exactly what you're going to get. A bunch of scribble scrabble. You will never get specific shapes like helicopters or even humans or even a circle or square, a gun, a shoe. What's the chances of that? Just by me writing a paragraph of text and you coming on top of that, writing your paragraph of text, what's the chance of us getting these specific shapes that we see carved on the pyramid walls? Because if you look at this right here, there are no gaps in between this scribble scrabble. It's just the nature of writing. It's so many words and letters that it don't leave a lot of room for gaps and spaces on the paper because it's so much activity and layers. But what we see with the helicopter glyphs is spaced out devices. You literally have one object here surrounded by a bunch of space, another object here surrounded by space. These are specific shapes that are meant to stand out and show a device all by itself versus someone wrote a paragraph and someone wrote another paragraph on top of it. If you put these two side by side, you will see it's like apples and oranges. I'm not buying this at all, but we can debate it in the comment section.
They are, in fact, an early case of whiteout, otherwise known as a palimpsest when it's referring to a similar act in a manuscript where the text has been scraped or washed off in preparation for new text to be written over top. This relief isn't one original set of carvings. It's actually two overlapping inscriptions of the official kingly titles of Ramses II and Seti I. When Ramses II was renovating the temple of Seti I, he had someone cover up Seti I's royal titulary and replace it with his own. This is actually very common in ancient Egypt for people taking credit for things that other people might have done, or even trying to erase people from history. But then, over time, as some of the plaster eroded and fell away, it created a weird combo of signs that now look like these modern vehicles. So yes, Mr. Rogan, it is a goddamn coincidence.
Now, as you can see, this written out, drawn out diagram that they have in the bottom left corner, that's not evidence. I'm hearing her claim, but she has no evidence to support it. It's just a claim. If you look at this Egyptian hieroglyph with the helicopter and stuff on it, you see a bumblebee over there. You see a lotus flower with a hook coming out of it. Everything on this glyph is meant to stand out on its own as an individual object. I don't see any script writing like what she tried to compare it to. This is totally different. So this is a reach, and I thought this was a good moment to expose archaeology. I'm with Joe Rogan on this one, and I don't even like Joe Rogan. Joe Rogan is part of the whole agenda. He has the big platform to initiate the narrative. And what he's doing is canceling out narratives that have been popular, people thinking outside the box. And when we do, the archaeologists and paleontologists gonna always come and maintain the status quo. That's what their job is. The people in power don't want us to question this thing and to figure out the possibilities that may be about this reality. They want us to think that they have all the answers and that they're the experts. And this woman may feel like, hey, I know what I'm talking about because I went to school for it. And I know I'm not working with no Freemasons or anything. You know, you can't say she's just working with some Illuminati. In my opinion, you don't have to be connected to like the NWO, the Illuminati, to do the work of the enemy, and you don't even know you're doing it. See, in her mind, she just teaching you what she learned in school. In her mind, she just educating you and maintaining the status quo. Now, Joe Rogan know exactly what he's doing, in my opinion. And I can be wrong. They can be working together. She can definitely be an agent. Let me know what y'all think, because it makes a lot of sense that this may be a hit piece on the idea that the ancients were advanced. So after this, people will get rocked back to sleep saying, I guess the ancients weren't so advanced. And they will stop that whole awakening where we was opening our minds and, in my opinion, reconnecting with the truth. Because if you use Occam's razor, what are the chances of someone writing a paragraph and then another person layering a paragraph on top of that one, and you get perfect individual shapes like what we see in this helicopter glyph? Everything perfectly spaced and separated. Whoever did this meant for you to see each individual device in its own light exactly for what it is. Comparing this to two paragraphs layered over each other is like comparing apples to orangutans. And I'm not buying this crap. I can tell you how I think this is going to go. I think she's going to end up getting invited onto Joe Rogan's show to debunk this whole idea and put it to rest. In my opinion, this is the foundation of a hit piece on the idea that the ancestors were advanced and had technology. And it's such baloney.
It created a weird combo of signs that now look like these modern vehicles. So yes, Mr. Rogan, it is a goddamn coincidence.
Now, you got to be a fool to think that that's a coincidence. She didn't show any evidence. She just made a claim and gave her theory and said, hey, I went to school for this and I'm an archaeologist. That's not enough. I mean, that's no evidence. She's in the same boat that we're in. We're just people that's looking at these glyphs and giving a theory about what it may be. And I think that the people that's saying, hey, man, that's a helicopter. I mean, look at this helicopter glyph. You can clearly see a propeller coming out the top of this thing with a door right there, a window in the back, and a doggone tail behind it. I mean, how specific must that be? Now, let's use Occam's razor. What is the most simplest answer? That, hey, what I'm seeing is what I'm seeing. Everything down to an airship right here below the submarine. That's called an airship. And you can see it has a tail on it, or I think what's called a fender, if I'm not mistaken, would be another word for this. Like, this is aircraft, people. When you see that there's a tail on all of these vehicles, that's very specific. We're looking at devices that are aerodynamically shaped for travel. These clearly are vehicles. Like, what are the chances of you writing a paragraph, right? And me writing a paragraph on top of that, and us getting bumblebees, lotus flowers, submarine, helicopter. And it's so specific, everything down to the propeller. And if you look at the propeller on this helicopter, it's literally attached to the thing with a mount for spinning. And we can clearly see that the helicopter shape is literally aerodynamically designed for flight, just like a helicopter, just like the airship here. I just can't go for the idea that this is a result of 2 paragraphs layered on top of each other. She didn't prove it. She just speaking with authority because she has credentials. But those credentials come from the people that don't want humanity to wake up. Get in the comment section. Let me know, do you think that the helicopter glyphs are proof of ancient advanced technology? Or do you think it's a result of 2 people writing paragraphs on top of each other? Peace and much love.